Yeah, man, it's August the 3rd, 2023, and I want to talk about college in this video. The reason is because a lot of people ask me about, oh, you're going, I want to go too. Like, how do you do that? And what I found out is that a lot of people don't really understand the system. And if you think like I want to go to college, like for whatever reason, in my situation, I wanted to just learn about some things, and I figured it would help me with some of the problems I have, and possibly even lead into some career changes or some career opportunities. And what I found out was that you don't actually have to pay very much to go to college. And that's the big thing that people think like, oh, wow, like I can't afford to go to college. And that's the first thing you'll hear from people. So let me just tell you how it really works, okay? Of course, if you go to the big university that you see every Saturday on the football game on the TV, and if you want to go to that school, yeah, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a better education or that you have to go there. I mean, of course, there's always um, the I guess the reputation and the bragging rights to say, I went to this school, and maybe later if you find out that it's like really your thing to go to school and you really figure out what you're trying to do, then maybe it's worth paying for at that time. But in the meantime, okay, there's a few things you can do. First of all, if you're not ready to get, if you're not ready to put some time in and to get a better education, then it requires the time. So don't do it. Don't do it if you're not ready to do it. If you're ready to do it, then you'll probably do well if you want to do it. And I've done very well, and it's because I wanted to do it, and there's really no reason for me to have to do it. I don't have to do it. I don't think that it's going to change the job that I'm doing, and but it definitely could, and it could give me a lot of other opportunities that I didn't previously have. Just as far as like I know how to do this and that, so yeah, and you do understand a lot more about it, just in general. Like you get the very basics in high school, and then it's easy to go out and be a worker and all of those things. But there are some things that you'll learn in college in the first few years that are really like everyday stuff that you'll be watching somebody else talk or listening to somebody, and you'll say, oh, I know what they're talking about, but only because I took this class or that class. And that really happens, and it happens to me all the time. And so it is important to have that next level of education. As far as cost goes, there's a thing called FAFSA, FAFSA, and it's federal student aid. And if you apply for it and you don't make that much money, like maybe 50,000, 40,000, 30,000, you'll get it. You'll get at least some level of it. It's called a Pell Grant. They'll give it to you, and it's free. And so let's talk about the Pell Grant for a minute. The Pell Grant is just free. I don't know where it comes from. I haven't even done my research to see where the Pell Grant comes from. It's Pelle. And what I do know though is that if you don't make that much money, that it puts a lot of money towards your college. And I know people that are getting $10,000 per year, and I know people that are getting $2,000 per year, or maybe a little more than that. But and different states have different things. Some states you can go to community college and local college, which is the key, for free. Some states have that. And then some states, like my state, Georgia, has the Hope Scholarship, and it's funded by the lottery. And if you maintain a 3.0 or better, which is like a B or better, then you can get the Hope Scholarship. And for me, the Hope Scholarship is contributing about $4,500 per year, which is about $1,500 per semester if you go to school all 3 semesters. And the Pell Grant was also contributing about that much. I know people that were getting twice that much, that make a lower amount of money. But between the Hope Scholarship and the Pell Grant, even though I was only going part-time, or am still going part-time, I was able to actually get some money back. And people that are that are getting more than I am, they get money back too. And they probably get more money back than I do. And it's not much. You might get a couple hundred, two, three, $400 per semester. And I had situations where like the Pell Grant and the everything ran out, and I ended up paying my third semester of the year last year, and I'll end up paying some more this year probably. But the first year you go, as far as in Georgia, the Hope Scholarship is not going to kick in. If you're a grown adult, if you came straight out of high school, it would, if your criteria adds up to it, to the requirements that you have to maintain a certain grade point average and those kind of things. But if you're older and you're going back to college, then you would have to have this is my experience, you have to have the grade point average the first year, and then the second year it'll kick in. Okay, so my second year it kicked in, and third year is still in, and I maintained a high GPA and been able to keep that amount. And that, along with the Pell Grant, has pretty much made it free. I did get money back the first few times, first two semesters, and then had to pay the last semester a portion of it, and it kind of balanced out to about zero for me, almost zero. I might have paid a little bit when it comes to like the books and the softwares you have to buy and the different things to keep up with it. But overall, a lot of people get completely free for as far as local community college, because that amount that they put towards it, if you go to a local community college and you really want to check the accreditation of wherever you decide to go and make sure that it's something that you would be able to transfer to the big boy schools, or just make sure, look into accreditations and make sure that it's the accreditations that are recognized nationally as something important, as like the real one. Because some of these schools are not. Some of the like late night TV commercial schools and different things you never heard of. But you could easily go to like a local state college or community college or something like that, and most likely it would cover it. The FAFSA, the Pell Grant would most likely cover it. Now, another thing about the Pell Grant, and if you have like in Georgia, the Hope Scholarship for maintaining a GPA, or maybe look into whatever else you might have in your state, but the Pell Grant and my Hope Scholarship pay according to the classes that I take. So I think they have a rule where that's like 10 credits would equal a whole, like the full amount. So if they award you 1,500 per semester, then you would get the 1,500 completely if you took 10 credits. If you took 5 or 6 credits, you'd get half of it. So you wouldn't get the whole thing. But still, with me, the Pell Grant plus the Hope Scholarship has been able to just about make it free. And most people, a lot of people, get money back full time. They always get money back, $500 or something like that randomly per semester just from Pell Grant. And that's way better than the option of getting student loans. If you get student loans, then I hope you've taken the time to consider the different values of what it is you're going to college for, and what is that like if you're a certain job and it's a teacher, and there's a rule. If you have your master's degree, then you would get bumped up 25% or something like that on your pay. Then it's a math calculation. Then you say, okay, even if I got to get loans or if I have to pay out of my pocket, how valuable is this extra degree or this degree in general for me? But a lot of you guys out there are not taking something that's going to immediately have the value in the free market. So if that's the case, you really have to take some time to try to understand the value of what it is you're going to school for, and whether or not it's a good mathematical situation to take on a student loan if you have to go to like grad school or a big university or something, like where it's important, or whatever that situation adds up for you. Okay, but because the FAFSA, the Pell Grant, is only going to cover you up to like a bachelor's degree, up to 4 years. So you have to take all that into consideration. And when you hit the ground and you're going, be serious about it. Okay, get the FAFSA, get the Pell Grant, go to local community college or tech school. Make sure the accreditation is valid and the same as the bigger school you might want to go to later, and then go all in and get as much of that Pell Grant and whatever state benefits you have to be able to go and go all in for that associates or even two associates and up to that bachelor's, and you could really cram a lot of that in and not have to pay very much. And or cash flow the little amount if you have to pay some, and then really come out of college with a lot more knowledge. And especially if you go for something relative or important, or it's a smart thing to go for. You know, anything business, like business. Business administration is like the person who runs the office stuff and the different things and kind of handles everything for the bosses. Okay, and then business management is more like being the bosses, and then you have entrepreneurship and personal finance and like things about insurance and different type of banking. There's different degrees within the business category. Okay, and it could be any of those. And then you have computer science, which is like programming, cybersecurity, web development, web application development, design, whatever, network specialist, database analyst, specialist, management, whatever. There's a lot of different subcategories up under computer science, and those are very good ones too. I think that's probably the best two categories. A lot of people want to go to especially girls, like I want to be a nurse, or I want to do something in the medical field, and that's real good. I told some people that are close to me, be careful with that, because if you go for a certain thing within a medical field, and then you can be that thing, and that's fine if that's what you love. If you want to go be a rad tech or a certain kind of nurse, or even beyond that. Okay, or if you just want to learn how to run the office, there's a lot of specialty skills. But in the end, I mean, you might be a very useful person and become very useful for anywhere you go. But the circumstance really is that is one skill. And, how many industries or different positions can you go and branch out to or think about moving to? At some point you might hate it, and then you want to do something else. And how many things can you do? If you go become an x-ray technician, then you hate it. You can't do very much else. That's what your specialty's in. So just remember that you're locking yourself into something. And so there's universal things though, like I'm talking about with this business stuff. If you go get like some kind of entrepreneurship or like business administration or management or personal finance or any of those things, it gives you a lot of different sectors and positions and different things that you could be useful for. The same thing with like a lot of the computer science jobs, but maybe business is probably the most universal. But these are my opinions, okay? And so it's just something to think about. But like, 'cause you really want to go into this with a solid direction of which way you're headed. And if you go and you change your major 3 or 4 times, and then you end up with classes that don't count or classes that aren't covered under your degree program that you signed up for with FAFSA, and you end up paying money, and there's different things. I didn't do any of that, but I know people that have been doing that kind of thing, jumping from this and that, and they can't make up their mind, and end up having to pay a few classes and not having that many credits towards the degree that they really decide that they want later, if that's even the last decision. And so you want to kind of have all of that worked out before you go and try to think about doing something for real, because you don't want to waste time. The knowledge is great, but with Pell Grants, I assume that's like some kind of thing where the taxpayers are paying for it, unless it's some kind of private funded thing, but it's through the government. So I assume that it's a taxpayer funded thing. And you don't want to be wasteful in general anyway with other people's money or your own. All right, so just have a good idea of what it is you want to do. So what I've done, and this is something else you can consider when you're talking about like just jumping in and just trying to get knowledge and and it's not critical for me. But I took computer programming, which is a computer science degree. And I've got a couple classes left, but I've already also been taking classes for a second associate's degree that I signed up for, which is cybersecurity. And I may even do a third one just because I'll tell you why. The first one for an associate's degree, say you might have to take 20 classes or 22 classes or something like that overall for the associate's degree. Okay, but you could probably say that 10 of those classes are the same as another degree. So you might jump into another degree and have your core classes like your math, your English, your music, the human arts, the requirements that they make you take as far as any degree. You might have all those already settled and they're done. Then you have several of if it's in the same general category, like computer science for me, programming has some of the same classes, even beyond the general education classes, that some of the program specific classes are also the same. So you end up taking half the classes because those count. It's what I understand is what they've been telling me, and I've already been doing some of both degrees now. So, and I've got 2 or 3 classes left for the first degree, which I'll finish over the course of this year. I usually take 2 or 3 classes per semester. And then I'll have like maybe 6 or 7 classes left for after, halfway through this year for the second degree. Okay, so I'll be close after next year. After 25, I'll be close to having both of them. And it's because so many of them had the same class. It's almost like buy one, get one half off or something. Okay. And the reason that I'm talking about the third one is because I was looking into it and some of the more specific programs within computer science category, as far as 2-year associate's degrees, some of those have so many of the same my last 2 degrees that any CIST, computer information system technology, okay, any CIST class is, as far as like my school, which it's a local community tech college in Georgia, and I could go to UGA or any of the big schools, same accreditation, okay, but they tell me that CIST classes are good for 5 years only because technology changes. And that's fine. So within the 5 years, I'll have 3 degrees because it's like 4 classes or 5 classes to get the third one because it doesn't have that many more. So because so many of the specifics and the generals are already done with the other 2 degrees because they're in the same category, which is computer science. So I believe that, in fact, I'm sure that business would be the same way. Because like introduction to business or like introduction to banking. So you have like business administration, business management, entrepreneurship, finance, and there's probably a couple more, okay, more shifted maybe towards insurance or like different things like that, okay? But each of those is going to have some lower level classes that are going to be universal, the same between all of the specific programs. So you can end up getting multiple degrees before you transfer out of there and go to like the big boy school or a larger state college to get the 4-year degree. If you already have 2 or 3 2-year degrees when you leave there in 3 to 5 years, that's great. That's great. You're starting to get ahead of the game, even though you're going part-time. So, and that's something that you can do even if you work 40 or 50 hours, okay? If you have kids and you work part-time or maybe full-time, you could still do 2 or 3 classes per semester. You can do most of the stuff online. Even when you can't do it online, a lot of times you might have to log into some thing called like WebEx or something like Zoom and join a class and be kind of a part of it, but you still don't have to go anywhere, which is super convenient. Okay, we all have this sense of pride about the things we're doing to make ourselves better or have accomplishments. So when you first start going, you might go by the school store, maybe you have to go over there and pick up a book or a software, or you could really get all of that online too. But you just kind of maybe want to go. Like when I first started going, I was taking all hybrid classes, and I was like, I want to go. And I had my backpack with my laptop in it, and I went to the school store and was buying like the hoodie for the school and all this stuff. Like, it doesn't take long before all of that's like worn off, and this new thing that you're doing, you still do it, and you still might stick to it and have your success with it. But that whole thing about, because I guess deep down we probably all wanted to go off to college, and I was kind of a troublemaker in high school and had a lot of problems, and so I'm just kind of late to the game. But I probably wouldn't have been very successful at it back then anyway, because you have to care about it, you have to want, it's something that you have to want to do. And I did very well in like the lower grades, like top shelf very well. And as I started getting older, I started not caring as much and getting in trouble. But as soon as like you kind of get past all of that, and then you realize like, maybe there's some things I want to know about. And then, so you go and you're an adult, you take it more seriously, and you might still want to go get your hoodie and be a part of the whole vibe, but it doesn't take long before that wears off, because I was going to class, doing the class online, sitting in the class, and I was like, this doesn't make much sense. Like, I'm jumping off of work and running to my house and taking a shower and zooming 20 miles down the road to go to this college, and I sit there for 2 or 3 hours listening to some lady talk about the same exact thing, and I still have to do it online while I'm there, and it's ridiculous. So I'm like, no, I can just do this at home. And you start following the schedule and get used to it. Start out with like 2 classes, and then maybe stretch it to 3, and then really look into the mini mesters. That's where you have a 8-week class instead of a 16-week class, and so you can take like the first half of a semester. I'm doing that. This semester is coming up. I'm taking a full class, 16 weeks, and a mini mester class the first half, and a mini mester class the second half. And I'm going to squeeze 3 classes out of the semester while I go to work like 50 hours a week, okay, at least, and travel around and get called in and have other personal things going on, plus try to do some YouTube videos, plus I'm like having all kinds of things that I follow on different platforms like YouTube or something like that. So there's a lot of it that you have to think about if you're really ready to do it, but it's possible. That's what I'm getting at, is that if I'm doing all of that, and it's not like it's super hard, I'm still kind of chilling. I just got 91 or 92, I forget. It was an A. No, it was a 90 point something. It was an A in accounting. It was a 90.78 and a 99 in PHP 1. And I was doing very well with it, but part of it was the last module somehow got messed up, and she canceled it and told us we all didn't have to do it. It was already a summer class, so it's only 8 weeks to begin with. We only had to do 7 of the weeks, and I had a super high grade, but it was very easy to follow along. And the project that we were doing, I was able to keep up with it very well as far as like creating a login. And I won't go into the specifics of like my class, but have a 3.75 maybe, which is pretty good. I take it pretty seriously, and I got 3 classes left for my first degree, 2 or 3, I think. They credited one of my classes to my other degree, but it really was one of the classes for both. But it's an elective, so I have to look into that and see if like an elective can count for both, or if I have, because one lady told me that they couldn't, that with electives you have to do another one, which is fine. I'll do another. It's a program specific elective, so I'll take like something like C# or or operating system concepts or whatever, one of those other classes that are program specific. I don't mind taking another one. So anyway, yeah, I guess that about sums it up really. But I want to put it out there, that it's possible, and you don't have to pay a lot of money, and you might get paid. And most people don't know that. I've realized recently, because I talked somebody into going, and they were like, I can't believe you told me, like, I get paid and all this stuff. And they started going, and they're doing their classes online, and they got like $400 back after the semester started, that came back for the extra from FAFSA, and they just got this money. And then it helps you on your taxes and all kinds of stuff. It gives you so many benefits in life, and some of the things that you learn as you're watching or listening to different people and internet stuff or whatever. There's some things that'll cross by, and you'll say, I only know that because of this class that I took, something that somebody says. So I notice that all the time. So I know that the information is useful, because as smart as I like to think I am, it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're uneducated, it definitely helps to know the rules and know the game and know the history and know kind of, you can see where things are going. And there's a lot of benefits to having the knowledge about a lot of different things. So if it's something that you're interested in, just look into it, because I wouldn't recommend going into debt for something unless you're very certain about it and you can get your money back out of that deal. But as far as like just going, yeah, you could just go, and it probably would be close to free, if not paying you. And anybody who's an American citizen can go and do this, and it's just part of our system. So there's nothing special. You just go on FAFSA and apply for FAFSA, and apply at a local college, and boom, you're in, and you could do online classes and learn about some things. My particular problems, and I'll end it on this note, but my particular problems leaned me towards computer science. My personal interest is a lot of business stuff and personal finance and things like that, as well as like personal other things, music and the arts or whatever. But I want to know about business, and I need to know about computer science. So I thought those things were important. And every elective that I have the opportunity, I choose some kind of accounting or economics 2 or anything to do with that business side of it, as I feel like it makes my degree or my knowledge base. Okay, because it's what it really is. It makes my knowledge base stronger. To take the time each semester to learn a few things. It really makes a big difference for me, and I enjoy it. And I think it'll be very beneficial long term, and keeps your mind sharp. I noticed that it was keeping my mind sharper as I started going back. And you have to fall into a system of actually learning and taking the time, and it sharpens you up where you've gotten dull and you don't realize it. All right, so that's all for today. I hope this information helps you guys out, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll see you next time.